Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the SME entrepreneur. Tonight on the show, we're bringing you to the influencer conversations. First up, I'm in conversation with Baggit, and the second conversation tonight is with March team. Global reports suggest that nearly 60 to 70% of all consumers under the age of 35 saying that they will increasingly and are increasingly buying ethical fashion. In India, the picture is definitely looking no different, with the online fashion industry pegged at nearly $14 billion by the year 2020. More and more consumers are making themselves aware of what is ethical fashion. So what does this industry comprise? What are the pricing like? And also, what should one keep in mind if they're looking at this industry? I posed all of those questions to Nina Lekhi of Baggit, who's had a first mover advantage in this industry. Listen to what she had to say. Nina, thank you very much for taking the time to join us here in our studios tonight. It's a pleasure talking to an entrepreneur, but a even bigger pleasure to talk to an entrepreneur who's been a forerunner of sorts in your specific industry, sustainable, ethical fashion. I want to start by talking about Baggit, the brand, and for our viewers who may be curious about knowing something interesting about the brand, what do you want us to know?
Yeah, just like how you rightly began it so beautifully, that you've observed that we've been a brand that really cares. So whether it be for our team in-house, we do meditation programs for all our employees, whether it be for our product, for our consumer, the woman is doing it all, carrying it all, so it has to be really efficient and well thought through. In fact, we use each of our products multiple amount of times, iterate them and get them to the best. Not only that, also our materials are all they're not biodegradable, but they are recyclable. And we're doing a scheme right now in the stores where we don't want all of this to go and add to the dumps and to the garbage. Give it back to us so that we can recycle it and do our bit to, all the customers also doing that, all of us creating this ecosystem for sustainable fashion is what is my dream.
But my question is about the fact that the ethical fashion or the ethical, retail industry in India is growing. It's now, there's a sizable chunk really of revenues, a sizable chunk of companies. You've had the first mover advantage. But how's the market really changed in the many years that you've been present in this industry? What is the size of the industry? Can you sort of maybe put a figure on that and talk to us about how it has really changed? Competition has changed, but maybe one or two of the biggest things that have led to how this market is being disrupted.
Yeah, so it's right now is like the real fun time, I would say, because this is what I've always been writing in my vision, that all the other players, they're all players, they're not competitors, because it's really like a play of life, and we are really playing it full on now. So right from when I began, I think it was more of having these small boutique stores where I opened my first shop at Kemp's Corner. And that was called In Excess. It was my brother's store. I used to do the window display. I used to put up the products there. Then from then on came the large format stores, the shopper stops, the lifestyles entered the market. And today it has become like, you have the Walmarts and you have, all the Amazons coming in. You have so many online players who are small guys who are just selling online. So it is super dynamic. But the fun of it is, when you ride the tide and you see it as a game that we are playing. And I am really tripping and enjoying this whole process, because it is, it's all that I have learned, and all that I wanted to do is actually manifesting. And I'm enjoying playing with different consumers, different, tier 2, tier 3 cities require different stuff. The Mumbai, the metros require more of a fashion quotient. There's someone who requires more price. There's someone who requires lightweight functionality. The whole gamut of things is so interesting.
A couple of interesting things that you've said. And the first one is you're talking about how the taste preferences of consumers in different markets are different. For an entrepreneur who's watching this interview, maybe one or two things that you'd like to tell them about how to ensure they have differentiated products for someone who's in a Mumbai versus someone who's in maybe a tier 3?
Yeah, so I just went to my store last week to Bareilly, and I saw the customer who I was attending, and she loved our product, and she's saying, I always buy Baggit. And I was standing in a large format store, and she was looking at the other products, and she was wanting to buy my product. But she said, I have only a pocket size, that's that. So breaking it down so that I can cater to her needs. Sure. She wants a branded quality product. She wants a product that takes care of all the functionality like we have in Baggit, and we've taken years and years of evolving and getting there. So backworking costing, backworking what her requirement is, and obviously a woman in a metro city wants to flaunt it. She has a different need. So understanding that, and then going into, I was never a price conscious designer myself. I never bothered what the price is. I would just design and say, okay, put it in production. But today, knowing that the size of the market is huge and different consumers require different things, that we are all so specific about what we want, whether we're buying a camera or a phone. And that's how it has become in every product line.
Sure. So you're saying that pricing perhaps is one key thing when it comes to these different markets. The second thing that you spoke about is the omni-channel approach. I just want to go back to that and talk about the fact that reports I was reading suggest nearly 50% of your revenue is coming from your physical stores, or whether they are your own or franchise stores, or and only about 2 or 3% is coming from your online retail business. That's very interesting in a market where, like you were just saying, you have the Amazons and the Walmarts and the Flipkarts of the world that are getting just so much more aggressive here. So everything is moving online. Why have you taken this approach?
So I think this is from where we began way back 20 years ago. But and now it is working for you in terms it's working, yeah, but it's not working so much. We are seeing that the price benefits that you can give, the variety that you can give when you are in online and marketplace module is what we are also looking at hugely. We are about, I think, 8% of our own Baggit.com, and if you look at all of the Flipkarts and Amazons, we're about 14% only. But we are looking at it growing exponentially. We're investing into a much better website, and doing all the marketplace module and the omni-channel, where the customer can touch, feel in a store, have it delivered at home, get it picked up from somewhere, do the cash payment, so all of that.
The government is going all out to talk about Make in India, manufacture in India, is giving soft sops to entrepreneurs, is ensuring easier funding access to entrepreneurs. Has Make in India for you as a brand, as a business in this industry had any impact?
Yeah, so I'm happy that Modi ji is also talking about Make in India, and the government is doing exactly what I've been asking all of us to do, exactly what I've been doing. But I mean, there are 3 or 4 things that I feel are important for anyone to manufacture in India. Obviously, one is design, one is having the raw material available. The third thing would also be, having the labor laws and production being viable, and the fourth would be finance. I think the first 2, design and having the raw material, is an ecosystem that happens and will happen as more and more people manufacture in India. Today, the ecosystem is superb. If you go to any place in China, they've really got everything ready out there. But what about labor laws? If you look at it, so if you see the fashion industry, it goes through a lot of ups and downs. It has its seasonal changes. So tomorrow, like we started international, work with other countries also. So there are peaks and lows over there. But in India, it's very difficult to hire a person and then to remove a person, because in case you don't need production, so you get it's very sticky in that area. So I think the laws work super efficiently for a very large sized company that has, huge amount of employees. But I think up to 5,000 employees, there should be, so the medium small scale industry should be looked at in a different way, where we can hire and we can bring down our production and bring down our costs so that they're manageable on an international level.
Sure.
And fourthly and most importantly, I think the cost that we are paying for getting in capital infused. So you see these big players are coming into the market, and it's all a volume game. You have to get into the volume game, and you need this capital influx. But the cost that we are getting is crazy. Internationally, it is at a 3 to 6%, and we are getting it out at 10 to 12%. You can't work like that.
It does make you competitive.
So the government has done for the SMEs a 1 crore, but we need something like a 50 crores. But you need it at a good rate. When you go to the banks, I think the government needs to work with the banks so that they make it more feasible for us. So the bank will tell you, give me a collateral, and they're talking about property and land. And who looks at land and property today as collateral? That was a bygone time.
You were also talking about international markets, and I want to talk about your own international plans. I noticed that you're in Sri Lanka only at the moment. Do you have any other international plans that you can share with us?
Yeah, we've just done some shipments to the Middle East, and we are strongly looking at that as the first big territory that we would enter internationally soon.
All right, so then my last question to you really is about what's on your plate for the next couple of months that's perhaps exciting.
So we're also doing a lot of franchisee module is what we've really geared up now to make it much more attractive, and it's highly profitable. So that's also one new advent that we've gone into. And also we're looking at a 10 by 10 by 10 vision for ourselves and our company. So I strongly believe and advocate on my entire team also to look at their lives and have a vision for themselves. And it's my vision where our profitability used to be 10%, 10% is our PAT is what we used to have. And similarly, to grow the company 10 times in the next 10 years is what I'm looking at, and I know we can do it all together.
Wish you all the very best for that, Nina. Thanks so much for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It was lovely.
Let's take a quick break. On the other side, our second influencer conversation is with March T. To stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the show we're in conversation with March T. Our second conversation tonight is with March T. I spoke with this brand to understand really how they're continuing to focus on their classic teas and gaining a cult following almost in the country, to understand how consumers are increasingly becoming more aware of not just what they're buying and putting into their wardrobes, but also what goes into producing those products. Listen in to Sukh Dugal. Thanks very much for taking the time to join us here on this interview. And it's exciting to speak to entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs who are particularly young is something that we focus on here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. So thanks for taking the time out tonight. My first question to you, and I want to understand a little more about March T for our viewers who may be wondering who you guys are. All of the co-founders at March T have come in from very varied backgrounds, tech backgrounds, in fact, if I'm right, and then decided to get into the fashion and the retail industry. Why is that?
I think we just want to make simple products. When you walk into a store today, there are over 500 products, but a lot of us were really going after this small section in the store, which was doing just a classic white t-shirt or a classic white shirt or a t-shirt without any logos or graphics. And I asked some friends, and a lot of them felt the same way, where they were looking for the simple stuff in a store. So I talked to my co-founders, and we decided to make a good classic t-shirt. And it turns out that when you make one product instead of 500, you get to focus on every single detail about the product, and so the March T was created.
And I want to focus my next few questions in terms of how the online retail market is changing here in India. My first question is the fact that you said we only sell online, but most of the companies that you see, whether in the retail market or otherwise, are all looking at an offline market because they say India is still a market where people want to touch and feel things. So how are you sort of viewing that?
I think it's also different DNAs. Maybe a lot of them are wiser and they know better, but we really have this DNA of talking online, and everything we do. By the way, we're just 6 of us, so everything we do, all of the photography, all of the website, everything is coded. The packaging and the warehousing, all of it is done by the 6 of us. We talk to our customers every day, and you can only do that online. So when you're early on, I think it's really good to talk to your customers.
Sure.
And when you do it online, when you do it all yourself, you really get to hear what they're thinking about the product, how it can be better every day. So I think online has a merit.
So you were talking, of course, your USP is the simple classic design. And that is something that you've managed to communicate also very well online. You're very active when it comes to Instagram and Instagram ads. You have a website that looks really good. Any sort of learnings that you've had along the way when you're building this digital strategy, marketing strategy for yourself that you can talk to our viewers about?
It's a good question. A lot of people ask us how our website looks so cool and if we can make a website for them.
Did it help that all of you have tech backgrounds?
A little bit,
Okay.
a little bit, I think. But more importantly, I think when you make your own product, you know everything that goes into making the product. I think we did an okay job at exactly educating our customers about how the t-shirt is actually made. For example, we use a cotton, regular strands of cotton are 20 to 25 millimeters in length. We use an extra long staple cotton, which is 2 times the length of a regular cotton. So when you make a t-shirt out of that, it is 2 times stronger and 4 times softer than a t-shirt with the regular cotton.
Okay.
We tell customers this stuff, and customers really like learning about something new, something they haven't seen or read before, and they like knowing what they're wearing, and they trust people who make their products to take good decisions.
Okay.
But
what about someone who perhaps doesn't have the technical expertise, wants to and knows that they have to be aggressive online when it comes to talking about the brand strategy? What should they do?
That's a good question. I think just when you make something good and you know how it's made, just put it out in front of someone. And I think tell the story of how you made it honestly. I think good customers see the attention to detail. So you may not be the best website designer or have the photography skills, but if you made something honestly, all you have to do is just tell your customers how you made it. And a lot of people see merit in that.
Have you had any not so good experiences when it comes to the brand? How have you sort of worked through that?
So for us, manufacturing in India is super hard, not from a marketing point of view, but manufacturing, it's very hard to have that discipline in India to make a high quality product. Manufacturing in India is used to making a ton of quantities, a lot of products, but when you want to focus on making one product, making a few, but making sure they're really good, that's where the cultures collide in India. And so making something in India has been the hardest thing for us. Marketing, I think people want good products. People today are willing to pay a little bit more for something that's significantly better. So there is a great market. It's just making a good product is hard.
Okay, you're talking about the market. I have one more question on the market before we talk specifics about your business, and that's as far as sustainable fashion is concerned. More and more people, more and more brands are talking sustainable fashion. More and more people, more and more consumers, I would presume, are now willing to spend much more money when it comes to ethical, sustainable fashion. How's that market really panning out? What sort of trends maybe are you seeing there? How large is that market in India, and where really are the growth opportunities?
Sustainable products, firstly, are products that stand the test of time. And these things look good for years, and they're just timeless products. So in that sense, a lot more people are seeing that. A lot more people want their products to be simpler and sustainable. So I think that overall market itself is growing because people want their products to be simpler. People want their products to be made well. And secondly, sustainable products are made with a sense of responsibility, a responsibility that is shared between the creator of the product and the user of the product, to have this responsibility of longevity instead of just buying, using, and throwing.
Sure.
So it takes a lot more effort to make a product that is going to work over a long period of time than something that's just use and throw.
Let's talk about some specifics as far as your business is concerned. For someone who's in quite a niche industry, quite a niche segment of the retail industry, what has fundraising for you been like? Have you looked at fundraising? Has it been easy or difficult to perhaps convince investors that there's a huge market for this in India? Or at least a market, if not a huge market?
I think we were very lucky to find manufacturing partners early on that saw our passion, and they really thought we may do something right. So essentially, this big manufacturing company helped us bootstrap the March tea. They helped with all of the R&D, all of the manufacturing. So they essentially helped us build the March tea. So I think we got lucky in that sense.
Okay, so would you be looking at any external sort of sources of funding? Is that something that's on your plate?
Who isn't? I think today everybody wants to be funded, so sure. But I think we just want to focus on the product, and I think as long as we keep making the March tea better, the funds will come.
You previously, in one of your previous answers, you said manufacturing in India is hard for a product like yours. And I just want to go back to that and talk about the fact that the government is pushing Make in India in a big way. It's saying Make in India for the rest of the world, manufactured in India. What has your experience been like, maybe in terms of easier access to funding, maybe in terms of easier access when it comes to opening up conversations with others, maybe in terms of access to just mentors who can guide you along the way?
I think the government is doing a very good job at branding Make in India. But for small businesses like us, I haven't seen it cascaded down to us.
Sure.
I would love bigger manufacturers to be more open to small teams wanting to make stuff in India. But these guys are huge, and there is a big divide between their expectations of manufacturing from a small business, and a small business is manufacturing a product for the first time. So there is a big gap there, and I don't think that gap is going away in India anytime soon.
Okay, let's wind down this conversation then, Sukh, by talking about perhaps what's next on your radar, what's exciting you about maybe the next couple of months that you can leave our viewers with.
Super. So we started with the classic t-shirt, and I think that's very much our core. We introduced a new kind of a t-shirt called the Hamo, which is with fabric we engineered in-house, and it completely sold out every time we put it out on the store. So hopefully that should come back into stock this month. We're also introducing a third kind of t-shirt, a completely new kind of t-shirt soon. But remember, it's just the 6 of us. It's a very small team. This is hard, and there are so many products around us that could be simpler, and we want to do them. But making something is hard, and one shouldn't take shortcuts to get there.
Okay, and wish you all the very best.
Super.
Then,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
In terms of all the plans that you have, and thanks for coming down again.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks. That's our show tonight. If you have any feedback for us, here's how you let us know. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. Also get in touch with us on social media. Sunanda_J is my personal Twitter handle. LOT_ET Now is our official Twitter handle. On Facebook, we're at Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.